Leave my leaves alone. My neighbor Walter has hated my leaves since the week I moved in 3 years ago. I let my yard go wild in the fall on purpose. Bees and butterflies need the leaf litter to survive the winter, and my backyard is basically a hotel for them from October to March. Walter thinks it makes me look lazy. He's told half the block. Our yards are split by a chain link fence, the kind you can see straight through. My leaves don't blow into his yard. They can't. The fence line runs along a little slope that tips toward my house, so gravity and wind both keep everything on my side. It doesn't matter to Walter. He still glares at my yard every single morning when he steps out in his robe for his first cigarette of the day. Curtis, our mail carrier, mentioned it to me once while I was getting the mail. He said, "Man, that guy really does not like you." I laughed it off. I figured Walter was just an old grump who needed a hobby that wasn't hating my yard. I was wrong about how far he'd take it. Last Tuesday, I got home from my shift at the clinic around 6. It was already getting dark, that early October dark that sneaks up fast. I parked in my driveway and noticed something was off before I even got out of the car. The side of my yard, right along the fence where Walter's window looks out, was bare dirt. Every leaf that would have been visible from his kitchen window was gone. They'd all been raked into one giant pile shoved around the back corner of my house, out of his sightline completely. I stood there in my scrubs just staring at it. Someone had spent real time on this. It wasn't a quick job. Whoever did it had raked my entire side yard down to the grass. I texted my neighbor Denise, who lives 2 houses down and misses nothing. She called me back in about 4 minutes. "Girl, I saw the whole thing," she said. "Walter was out there for like 2 hours this afternoon with his rake and one of those tarps. I thought maybe you'd asked him to help you or something." I had not asked him to help me with anything, ever. I walked the fence line just to be sure I wasn't losing my mind. My gate was still latched, which meant he'd climbed the chain link, or gone around through the side easement, just to get into my yard and rearrange my property because he didn't like looking at it. I thought about knocking on his door, but I know Walter. I know exactly how that goes. He'd tell me leaves are trash, that I'm bringing down property values, that back in his day nobody let their yard go to seed like that. He said all of it to my face the first summer I lived here, arms crossed at the fence like a bouncer. I wasn't going to get anywhere yelling at a 71-year-old man about pollinators, so I didn't knock. I waited. I made dinner, watched some TV, let it get good and dark, past 9, past the hour Walter usually turns his porch light off and goes to bed. Then I put on my sneakers, grabbed the rake from my garage, and went out into my own yard at night like some kind of raccoon. It took me almost an hour. I raked every leaf out of that pile and spread them back exactly where they'd been, right along the fence line, right under his kitchen window, right where he'd see them first thing. And since I was already out there with a full rake and 0 patience left, I didn't stop at just my own leaves. I grabbed the 3 bagged bundles sitting at my curb that the city was supposed to pick up Thursday, and dumped those in too, right along the same stretch of fence. My yard had never looked fuller. It looked like a leaf pile convention. I even lined some of the thicker branches up so the pile sat a little higher right in the center of his window view, like a small hill of proof that this was staying exactly where it belonged. Then I went inside, washed the dirt off my hands, and went to bed feeling better than I had all week. The next morning I was up early for a shift, standing at my kitchen sink with coffee, when I saw Walter come out onto his back step in his robe for his smoke like always. He stopped cold. He just stood there staring at the fence line, cigarette halfway to his mouth, not moving. Then he started cussing, loud, the kind of cussing you do when you think nobody's around to hear it, except my window was cracked open, and I heard every word. He stomped down his steps, walked right up to the fence, and stood there shaking his head at a yard full of leaves that were, by every legal definition, 100% mine. He grabbed his rake off the shed wall like he was about to start all over again, then stopped himself halfway across his own patio. He looked at the pile, he looked at his watch, he looked at the pile again, then he threw the rake down on his own grass, stomped back inside, and slammed the sliding door so hard I heard the glass rattle from my kitchen. I sipped my coffee and watched the leaves sit there, exactly where I put them.